Have you ever wondered what really separates the people who achieve these massive goals from everybody else? What if the secret isn't about adding more, but about taking something away? Specifically, taking away your escape routes. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful mental model for doing just that. It's called the Cortez Strategy. This single quote, man, it captures one of the most ruthless and, you could say, most effective decisions in all of history. It's the kind of moment that creates a legend, but also a powerful lesson in commitment. To really get it, though, you have to understand just how high the stakes were. So picture this. It's 1519. Hernan Cortez lands in Mexico with this tiny army. We're talking 600 men. And they're up against the entire Aztec Empire, a civilization of millions. His men are understandably terrified. They are hopelessly outnumbered, and they're already whispering about getting back on the ships and sailing to safety. So Cortez makes a call. He orders his men to destroy their own ships. I mean, he literally burns their only way home. This single act is where we get the name for what we now call the Cortez Strategy. It's this principle of deliberately and strategically eliminating all of your options except for one: success. This slide just nails the psychology behind it. Look at the left side, with a safety net. When you have a backup plan and out, our brain just automatically holds back a little. We hesitate, our commitment isn't really 100% because, we can always retreat. But then look at the other side. When that net is gone, everything changes. There's only one way to go, forward, with everything you've got, full force, total focus. It's literally success or nothing. So we've got the story, but let's dig into the science of why this works so darn well. Because this isn't just some cool historical anecdote. It's a well-documented psychological principle that you can actually use. Psychologists have a term for this. They call it a commitment device. And all it is, really, is a choice you make today that locks in your behavior tomorrow. By burning his ships, Cortez created the ultimate commitment device. He totally removed the future choice of retreat, which forced every single person to focus only on the mission ahead. And check this out. This shows you the impact. The data here is pretty stunning. People who consciously use these kinds of devices are 2 to 3 times more likely to achieve their goals. For changing habits like quitting smoking or sticking to a diet, they see a 65% higher success rate. So the takeaway here is huge. This strategy dramatically shifts the odds in your favor. Okay, so you don't have to be a 16th century conquistador to make this work for you. Let's break down 5 practical strategies you can use today to, metaphorically burn your own ships. We're going to walk through each of these. Putting some money on the line, using a little bit of social pressure, shifting your identity, physically removing your backup plans, and using time to crank up the intensity. First up, financial stakes. Simply put, make it expensive to fail. You can use a website like stick.com to literally bet against yourself. And here's the kicker. If you fail, your money automatically goes to a charity or political cause you absolutely despise. Talk about motivation. Or you could prepay for a coach for 6 months. It's a lot harder to quit when you know you're throwing away thousands of dollars. Next, let's use a little social pressure. Announce your goal and a hard deadline on social media. Suddenly, hundreds of people are watching. That fear of public embarrassment, it's an incredibly powerful motivator. Or even better, just tell that one person whose opinion you really, truly value. A mentor, a parent, maybe even a friendly rival. Their judgment can become the thing that forces you to follow through. This third strategy is a really profound mental shift. It's all about identity. Stop saying you want to do something and start declaring that you are that person. If you're a writer, well, a writer writes. If you're an athlete trains. As soon as your goal becomes a part of who you are, failing to act on it feels like you're betraying yourself. This one is the most direct of them all. Just physically remove the option to quit. If you're trying to stay off social media, don't just rely on willpower. Delete the apps and give the password to a friend for 30 days. If you're starting a new diet, don't just try to resist the cookies. Get them out of the house. Make it impossible to retreat. And finally, make time your ally. We all know that old saying, work expands to fill the time available. So shrink the time. Announce a public launch date for your project. Sign up for a marathon. That date is now set in stone and it's not moving. This forces a kind of intensity that just cuts through all the procrastination. Okay, so this is a really powerful strategy, but it is not a magic bullet. And using it recklessly is like playing with fire. It's absolutely critical, that you understand when not to burn your ships. So, when is this a flat-out terrible idea?
when does putting all your chips on the table lead to total disaster instead of a big win? Let's break that down right now.
So, this strategy totally backfires when your idea isn't even validated yet. Don't quit your job to start a business that has 0 customers. It's also a really bad idea when failure has catastrophic consequences, like, betting your family's life savings. This strategy works best when you're running toward a clear goal, not just running away from a bad situation. And of course, if people depend on you, your tolerance for risk has to be different.
So, the smarter, more strategic way to do this is to escalate your commitment over time. You don't burn the whole fleet on day one. You start small. Maybe in week 1, it's just a public declaration. The next week, maybe you add a small financial stake. This lets you build up your commitment as you validate that you're actually on the right path. It's about testing the waters before you decide to cross the entire ocean.
All right, let's make this real. Talk is cheap. Here is a 7-day challenge to put the Cortez strategy into action this week on one single important goal in your life. Day 1 is all about clarity. Don't say get fit. Say run a 5K in under 30 minutes by March 1st. Not start a business, but get 10 paying customers by February 15th. You have to be super precise.
Okay, on day 2, you create financial consequences, put some money on the line. On day 3, you're going to announce it publicly to create that social pressure. And then on day 4, you're going to tell that one person you really don't want to disappoint. These layers of pressure, these are your commitment devices.
For the last 3 days, it's all about execution. On day 5, you remove one escape route. Day 6 is about creating daily actions that have their own deadlines. And on day 7, it's time for that powerful identity shift. You start telling yourself, I am a person who does this.
And if you need a little inspiration, just look at how this has played out for some incredible people. J.K. Rowling, her ship was a deadline, driven by poverty. She had to finish the book. Elon Musk, back in 2008, he bet literally everything he had on both Tesla and SpaceX. David Goggins quit his steady job before he was even accepted into SEAL training. They all burned their ships.
So that brings us to the final question, and really, it's the only one that matters. Looking at your own life, your goals, your biggest ambitions, what's that escape route you're holding on to? That little backup plan that's keeping you from going all in? What ship are you ready to burn?